Hello guys, and welcome to Barking Man Tech, an extremely low effort and extremely low budget tech channel dedicated to bringing you only the best in bad tech content. My name is Nick, and today we're making a video that I didn't want to make, or rather that I really didn't want to have to make. Recently I built myself a new Mini ATX gaming / editing PC, and I made a video about it. You'll probably be able to see it in the background right there. Unfortunately, that PC's been having some issues. So let's talk about these issues and what I'm going to do about them. Okay, so to be fair, I've really only had one issue, but it is pretty game-breaking, so to speak. Basically, my motherboard, the X570i Aorus Pro Wi-Fi from Gigabyte, refuses to play nice with high-speed memory. I've had periodic system crashes, blue screens, so on and so forth, and they've just increased in frequency as time has gone on. When I have XMP enabled in the BIOS, and I might say, well, why don't you disable XMP and try to find a stable 3200 megahertz overclock, manually? And that would be a fair point if I hadn't already tried that. Basically, what happens when I try doing anything manually, the BIOS just won't recognize it, and it will run 2133 regardless. So basically, I've tried everything. I've tried updating the BIOS, rolling back the BIOS, switching out the memory kits, reseating the memory kits, and the problem persists. I can only conclude that there's something wrong with that motherboard. So what I'm going to do about it? Well, obviously I'm going to return and refund that motherboard and replace it. Originally, I had planned to replace it with an ASRock X570 Phantom Gaming ITX TB3. Now, that's a mouthful. Because it's only a bit more expensive than the Aorus and has some cool built-in features like Thunderbolt 3. But I realised that motherboard only has one M.2 slot, and I need two for my dual NVMe SSDs. So I ended up having to go with this one, the ROG Strix X570i Gaming from ASUS, which, well, it's a bit more expensive than I want it to be, actually quite a bit more expensive than I want it to be. It's 800 crowns more expensive than the Aorus. That's not to say it's not a nice board. It's actually a really nice board. It's just a bit overpriced, because in terms of features it doesn't really have anything the Aorus doesn't. It's got Wi-Fi 6, Bluetooth 5.0, all very nice, but the Aorus had that as well. So yeah, I guess the difference would be this one has a few more USB ports and hopefully better memory compatibility. So that's the one we're going with today. So that's pretty much it for the talking portion of this video. Now I'll do a complete rebuild of that Mini ATX PC that I've got back there. But I think instead of doing my normal thing where I just skip forward to the end where it's already built, I'm going to try showing you some snippets of the building process. So let's get to that. So first things first is obviously going to be to disassemble this entire computer. Thankfully that should be pretty easy because the case is pretty well laid out for this sort of thing. It's got this nice like pop-off tempered glass side panel rather than screws. So yeah, I'll get that going and I'll check in with you once that's done. So I've taken the motherboard out and I'm in the process of removing my SSDs and my processor and the cooler and stuff. And I think what might have happened is that instead of the model in general being just a bad model and the BIOS being fucked, I think there might just be something wrong with this shall we say, this motherboard in particular. Because I'm thinking like the componentry might just be shoddy in general, because what had happened is, like, you see this lock here? This mechanism on the PCI Express 16 slot is just, like I've had this, it came off when I took the graphics card out, like this piece literally came off. So I had to put that back in, it's working fine, but yeah. And what also happened is that when I removed the USB 3.0 header from the motherboard, this plastic housing came off. It just fucking came off. And it was a pain to get off the header and put it back, but I had to do that. But I think this might just be a shoddily constructed board in particular, and the model itself might actually be fine. But now I have the X570i, so I'm going to be putting that in anyway. So we're now in the process of just gonna prepare the new motherboard here. I've cleaned off the thermal paste of the CPU and the heatsink. So yeah, we're just gonna go ahead and do that. We'll start with the CPU. Just lift up the retention arm, orient the processor in the right fashion. This way the Ryzen should face that way. And you do that, and then you just drop down the retention arm, and we have installed an AM4 CPU. So yeah, we'll just keep on going and then I'll check in with you when it's time to put it back in the case. Alright, so now the cooler and the RAM's all installed, all the SSDs are installed in the new motherboard. I'm gonna put everything back in the case now. I think I'm gonna redo the cable management, because I complained about the cables with the power supply being too short in the main build video I did for this system. I think now just came at it from the wrong angle. Now that I know that there's really no way to route them all behind the motherboard tray here, I'm gonna try and do a nicer job in the front chamber of the case. So we'll see how that turns out. Alright, it is now a little while later, the computer is fully built, I have enabled the XMP profile in the BIOS, and so far it seems a lot more stable. Last time with the other motherboard we didn't get this far with the XMP enabled, honestly. It had already crashed, so we'll just to make sure, we'll run just a run of Cinebench, just to put some pressure on it and see if it crashes them. So let's go ahead and just do that. It's doing beautifully so far. Right, so the Cinebench run is now finished, and yeah, it performed about as well as we expected to, seeing as I haven't overclocked or anything, so it's a bit better than the 1700X. But it was fully stable, there was no crashing with the XMP, so I will call this issue solved. So now that all is said and done, I have a fully functioning PC, which I am very happy about. But it's really a damn shame I even had to make this video in the first place and go through the hassle of changing motherboards and exchanging it for a more expensive one at that. I really do think the motherboard I had, the Aorus one that I had, really was just fundamentally broken in some way. I'm not gonna leave it up to chance though, because that would just be too annoying, so I'm using a new motherboard now. I guess really that's it for this video, so keep an eye out for future ones, but for now, peace out.